welcome to the Jaden Show. Happy Sunday, lovelies. I hope you've had a wonderful week. It feels like ages since we've last spent some time together, but I'm back. It's another Jaden Show, and it's filled with wonderful music, great talent, and an artist called LEROY KONG, who is just an incredible rock blues vocalist. You're going to be listening to him in a minute. But you know what? I think before we do anything else, we should go and check a little bit of this man out in action. This is called Breaking Up Somebody's Home.
Just one kiss. Every raindrop I hear upon your window pane. Sounds so sweet and clear. I swear it's calling your name. Got nowhere to turn, so tired of being alone. Breaking up somebody's home. I know it's useless hanging on while you belong to someone else. Can't stand the feeling. After all, I didn't make it all by myself. I cried so hard, I thought I almost could have chilled. Can't control the vibration, and my heart would not stand still. Got nowhere to turn, so tired of being alone. I feel like breaking up somebody's home. I
Okay, I know that's got the old juices flowing, but I'm afraid you're going to have to wait a little bit longer because it's time for a super quick Jaden Show commercial break. Okay, it's the time you have been waiting for. I want you to throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just really don't care, quite frankly. And then put them together and applaud like crazy for this week's incredible special guest, the amazing LEROY KONG. Mr. LEROY KONG, blues, rock, singer, songwriter, harp player, but you play the harp with your mouth, which for those at home is not the big ass bloody harp that might appear on an Enya track. It is a harmonica, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, one of those big things would be difficult to get into the car, I think.
And even more into your gob, quite frankly.
Yeah. And I've got a pretty big gob, I suppose. Really.
Well, you've got a set of lungs on you, sir. That's a bloody definite. I want to, firstly, I mean, you are an incredible artist, and I was kind of introduced to your work by a mutual friend of ours called Mark Short, who's been on the show a couple of weeks ago. Mate, I want to take you back to Mini Kong, right? When you were kind of, running around the living room back in the day in your diapers, your nappies. What was going on in your life when you were really young to kind of set the foundations to becoming a phenomenal blues rock artist?
Well, going back to then, my dad was a pub pianist.
Okay.
So we always had a piano at home, and I was encouraged to sing songs from, I don't know, the age of about 8 or 9. So
wow,
it was like instilled into me at an early age, really.
What type of music was your dad playing?
Old typical pub stuff, a bit like the if you remember the old PG ads, you hum it, I'll play it.
Like roll out the barrel.
Yeah,
bloody!
Stuff,
I
yeah.
would have loved him.
Yeah, he was a proper regular old pub pianist, and
sweet.
Yeah, it was all sort of good stuff he used to knock out. All sounded pretty much the same, to be fair, but it couldn't have been that bad because he used to be working every weekend. So
nice, mate. But how come rock and blues? Because was it really big back in the day in the UK? It's never a genre that I know much about. So
well, bear in mind that 1964, I was 24 years old. And I suppose I got into it sort of at the start of the 60s when blues was big. I met the Rolling Stones and the Yardbirds all when they were just unknown, just another band kicking about. So, and I used to hang out at a place in Twickenham called Illpie Island. Which
I used to live near there.
Did you?
I lived in Isleworth, but I used to go fishing on the bank opposite Illpie. Yeah.
I used to be, when I first used to go to Illpie, it was traditional jazz. And then they made an announcement one evening, next weekend we're having a blues band on. And everyone thought, I don't know what that's going to be like. And it was Cyril Davis and his Rhythm and Blues All-Stars. And they featured a singer called Long John Baldry.
Okay.
If you've never heard of him, you should look him up.
And I don't know why I have, but I have.
He's fantastic vocalist. And Cyril Davis, who was a great harmonica player. So that sort of started my interest in blues music.
Wow, okay.
And of course it sort of went on from there because there was that big explosion of bands like the Rolling Stones, the Yardbirds. A lot of it came from around the sort of Twickenham, Richmond area.
Yeah.
And we used to try and play it as well. I mean, I started playing in a band when I was 15 with some guys from school.
And what vibe was that? What kind of genre was that? Doing rock and blues?
That was rock and roll, really. Elvis impersonations, and Eddie Cochran was always a big influence on me. Yeah, and I think that's the first song I sang in public was "Come On Everybody."
Wow, amazing, mate.
So nervous, I think my throat went dry and I couldn't sing after about.
Well, you started with a bit of a challenge anyway, that kind of vocal as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
It wasn't like Dana or anything like that. I mean, you went straight for the hard work bit of vocal.
Yeah, straight into it. But no, I sort of just moved very often with people I knew from school. We all seemed to be in bands, and we interchanged quite a bit. You know, the lead guitar and the bass player would meet up with the drummer and myself from another band, and we used to either jam around or form a group. I stuck at it quite sort of seriously until into my early 20s. I did turn professional, and as more still trying to be a sort of rock and blues band, but one of our early professional gigs was in Germany, and we'd been billed as a soul band, which obviously we weren't. But luckily we had a keyboard player, and we sent home for an Otis Redding album, and started changing our
Repertoire.
To suit the audience we were playing.
Well, how did it go down? Did it work?
This particular place, outlandish as it sounds, was a German brothel.
Okay.
And it was very well attended by lots of American servicemen who came from the nearby Saarbrücken base. And there was a lot of good black musicians in the audience who would come and sit in and jam with us. And in fact, our ultimate achievement was to get a complete band up there, and we'd go and retire to the bar rather. We should watch ourselves play, but it wasn't us. But the guy that ran the place used to go a bit apeshit and say, I'm paying you to be up there, not them. You get back up and play. But yeah, so that was good fun. I managed to sort of do that for about 2 years. Not a big influence before then, I suppose. Yeah, about 2 years before, I saw Jimi Hendrix play in a very small club, and I was standing close enough at one stage he spat on me. Not on purpose, but when he was singing. But that's how close up it was.
Wow.
But the only problem with that, I can't get over just how fantastic he was. We cancelled all our gigs for about 4 weeks. We said, we walked out and said, we're completely wasting our time, aren't we? He was that mind-blowing. And to see him as close, as 4 feet away, if that, in a very small club, we just stood right in front of them, and listened to it, and it was a mind-blowing thing.
Wow.
It's quite strange now. I'm in a covers band, and it's a bit of a tenuous connection, but our drummer, who's not quite as old as me, before he died, he was Mitch Mitchell's cousin, who was the drummer in Jimi Hendrix Experience.
Oh, okay, no, that's a pretty...
And in fact, Mitch Mitchell taught him how to play. We used to go a lot, obviously Marshall amplification, which you know quite well, but we used to hang out at Marshall's quite a bit, and Mitch Mitchell worked in the shop at Marshall's before he took off with Jimi Hendrix.
Bloody hell.
And it's quite weird as well. I go down to Swanage Blues Festival, and
I've been there as
for
well.
a few years I've known this guy called Terry,
who
plays saxophone, and I went, oh, hello Terry, hello Leroy, how you doing? And I was talking to someone else, another big man on the blues scene, Robin Beebe, and he said to me, oh, I didn't know you knew Terry Marshall. I said, is he like the Marshall? And he said, oh yeah. And then it worked out that Terry, who used to work in the shop, and we bought our amps and stuff off him. We sort of reminisced, and he said,
wow.
Yeah, he said, you must have been in the shop. And I said, yeah, I think we used to get under your feet, used to sling us out eventually. Cause,
always there.
We were always there.
Those connections are bad, though, aren't they?
Yeah, it's weird how you sort of bump into people from years back, and you're still sort of spinning round. But I kept going with the band, and then, like a lot of people, got married, and you don't have quite as much time to sort of do these things, and then you're getting on and trying to get somewhere in a career, sort of thing. And it was as I got back into my sort of 60s, I thought I must get seriously into music again before it's too bloody late. So it's been good. I've been gigging quite a bit over the last few years. Cause,
how did music feel to you? I mean, was it did it come from a different place? Did it sit in a different place in your 60s as it did in your 20s? Or were you just back in that moment, and as far as you were concerned, you were 23 again? Like, how did it work for you?
Yeah, it's lovely being 23 again, yeah.
Only if I pass the mirror and I'm like, shit, man, what's my dad doing here? That's the only thing now.
There's that all the time. But no, I went to a blues jam last night, and I can't remember exactly what I sang. I know one of the songs I sang was Johnny Be Good, the old Chuck Berry standard. Yeah. And it's back to being a 23, 24-year-old again, isn't it?
Nice, mate.
Until the pain in the back kicks in, you think, oh, shit.
And you want to be home by 9:30 because your ankles start swelling. Yeah, that's welcome to my world as well, mate, quite frankly.
No, fortunately, the old ankles are still good. So
okay. Respect. Yeah. Respect.
It's, if anything, it's the back that goes out on me. It's, well, you could say, unfortunately or luckily, I did have, and I should put a plug in here as well for getting PSA tests for men, because I did end up with prostate cancer, and it migrated onto stage 4 and went in my back and a few other places. It seemed to want to take a new home in. So, put a little plug in for PSA.
No, I was going to ask you about that, because, I mean, I would say, you've had some severe kind of health issues and difficulties over the years, and how did that affect... Well, I mean, not just how it affects life, because it must be completely consuming, but did it make you want to do music more when you were kind of, getting into remission? Yeah. Right, I've got to do this now, because, you don't know what's around the corner, so, or did it make you think, oh, do you know what, I want to relax and do nothing now and just be, and how did it affect you creatively?
Well, it was just over 3.5 years ago, I think, that I was diagnosed. I was busy with 2 bands at the time, the same 2 that I'm still with. I was diagnosed, very luckily was put onto chemo within a few weeks. And chemo is a real, it really knocks the stuffing out of you. Yeah. And you're on steroids as well. So, and I lost my voice. I thought, well, is this going to be this the end? You can handle like a very gruff sort of, most of the time.
Yeah.
But my blues band had a gig lined up for May time, and I started the chemo in January, and it goes on for 3 months. And they said, should we cancel this one in May? And I said, no, I'm going to do it. I said, whatever happens, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And it nearly... Well, it creased me doing it. I was on my knees at the end.
Wow.
But I got it done, and not looked back since. And I'm lucky the voice came back. It's not a great voice. It is a bit of a bluesy sort of gruff voice, but...
That's great, mate. I can't sing like that at all. I'd love it.
Well, I've listened to you, some of what you're singing. I can't sing like that either. So.
Well, no, it's something for everybody, right? We all sounded the same. Yeah, it'd be bloody boring if we all sounded the same. But I do wish that sometimes I had a bit more bloody gravel. I mean, I tried smoking, I tried drinking. I mean, I didn't like beer, so it was, spirits, but it didn't really work. And I never had that gravel, to be fair.
Well, I'm losing mine now, because part of your cancer treatment is every 3 months you have an injection of female hormones, estrogen.
Okay.
And my voice is going up to a higher register now.
Wow, so you can hit those falsetto notes better now.
Yeah, I'm getting there now. About 4.5 years ago, I turned down somebody who was desperate because it's in a ponytail at the moment. I've got quite long hair, and which grew back after chemo, fortunately. And I still have the old ponytail tucked away in a drawer somewhere. I cut off before chemo. And, I was invited to join a Led Zepp Deep Purple tribute band, because my hair was long and a little bit wavy, looked a bit Robert Plant-ish. And they loved me, and I couldn't quite hit some of the high notes, because, Robert Plant's got an incredibly high register for his voice. Yeah. And I said, look, I'm not entirely happy. But if I'd had these estrogen injections, I would have joined them.
So if you're watching now, is ready, get on that blower.
If you're watching, come back. Ask for LEROY KONG again. But
Yeah,
It's quite strange. I did have a Robert Plant look to me. We was on holiday one year in. I'm going in a few weeks actually back to Crete, but we were in Hibiscus, and I know they lay it on a little bit thick, but some kind of guy came rushing out and said, "You're Robert Plant." I said, "No, no." He said, "You must be. You must be. Come in, come in." He said, "You have free drinks, free drinks." So my wife,
hey, I'm Robert Plant.
nudged me and said, "You're Robert Plant. Go in."
Yeah, amazing. What was it? Going back, like obviously, you were getting into your rock and rockabilly, blues, all this kind of vibe, and your dad was doing pub stuff, so any old iron roll out the barrel kind of stuff. During that time, like during your musical history, what would you have said? And this is, you need to come out now with something that might not be comfortable to you, but what would you have said was the most obscure and unlike you music that you would listen to, that people would be like, nah, man, that boy's not into Dharma? Like, I mean, like who, I'm not saying you were, but like who was it, like the most obscurest artist that, on the down low you would ever listen to?
Do you know, I don't think I haven't ever got into any music other than rock and blues, really.
That was always your vibe, yeah?
That was always the thing I was into, yeah. I mean, I do appreciate all music as I've got older, and I like classic music, but it's knowing what piece you're listening to and then what it's called. It's
and what are they singing about if it's in another language?
And that as well, but it's sort of lack of knowledge. But now as an older man, and I can look back over sort of listening to music for 65 years, if you like. I like Vivaldi and of course all the big classics. You got to be dumb not to appreciate Mozart and Beethoven and all that sort of music. True. It is fantastic, and but I think as a young man, no, it was a bit one track.
No, that's not. That's really common though, right? And what part of the UK were you born and bred?
Remember, this was just sort of post-war years. So initially, my grandparents had been evacuated from the East End of London out to just beyond Heathrow Airport, a funny little place called Colnbrook.
I used to work there.
Did you?
I lived there actually before I moved to Mexico. Yeah, I lived literally Langley. Wow. Which was the other side of...
Yeah, I know Langley, yeah.
Yeah, I lived on a boat on the canal in Langley.
Wow.
Which I used to call Buckinghamshire Borders, actually. It wasn't Slough. It was Buckinghamshire Borders.
Yeah, it sounded better, didn't it? Yeah, yeah.
But I used to work in Colnbrook. I used to go work in Colnbrook. Lovely little village, I guess. It's tiny, isn't it?
Yeah, but quite a big gypsy population as well. Huge. In Colnbrook.
Yeah, and still, even 10 years ago, there still is, yeah.
Yeah, so... I moved there. We'd moved. Initially, we lived in Colnbrook. Then we moved to Hanwell, which is West London. Which
I'm an Isleworth Fosterley boy.
Yeah, well, Hanwell came up again, of course, when I used to go and buy stuff at Marshall's because they were in Hanwell originally. Yeah. But yeah, it was when we moved there initially. It was a bit difficult because I actually went to the village school for about a year. And I think on the very first day I was there, one of the big gypsy boys came over to me and said, "Me and you need to have a fight tomorrow." I said, "Well, what for?" And he said, "We need to find out who's the best fighter." Of course, what he didn't know is my dad was an ex-professional boxer, so I've been boxing from the age of about 5.
So handy.
So it was handy. So next morning, I pasted him and give gypsies their due, they handle things well. He said, "Well, stop. I said, I think we'll call it a draw, shall we? And shake hands." Because they never lose face, do they? But no. But to be fair, up until 25 years ago, I still used to see him and he was still a friend. Because they had a bit of respect for you, the fact that you took him on and didn't whinge. So, yeah, It actually went on to do a lot of bare knuckle fighting.
Bloody hell, man!
And I went to school.
Lucky you won then.
Yes, lucky I was before he got too big. Yeah. I went to school in Staines, and used to sort of, sometimes be around in pubs in Staines, and this guy, Nelson Ibbard, was his name, and he was a big man. He'd walk into a pub in Staines and it'd go quiet.
Really?
And he'd come stalking up behind me, grab me by my shoulders and give me a good shake and say, "What are you drinking then?"
Really?
And people say, "Why does Nelson Ibbard treat you like that?" You know, he frightens the shit out of the rest of us. But he always comes and puts his arms around you and cuddles you.
Nice.
So, goes back.
It's not what you know, it's who you know, right?
It's who you know, yeah. Exactly.
And always good to know the ones that are bigger than you, to be fair.
Yeah. You going back to I used to live in Langley, we played in, it was the clubhouse of a golf driving range in Colnbrook.
Okay.
Called, like they're all called, the 19th hole. We used to play there down quite frequently. And there was the Langley gang that used to come in who we befriended because they were a bit of a rough mob.
Yeah.
But the Langley boys used to turn up and support us, so that was good.
Wow.
In early days, I used to play in Slough as well. I want to say early days, I was probably about 18 or 19.
Okay.
There was in the High Street in Slough, there was the Carlton Ballroom, which had sort of been there for donkey's years, and that was one of our early sort of gigs, I remember, as the band I was in at the time. And then when we were doing it full time, we used to play. There was a big cinema on the way out of Slough. I think it was called the Adelphi. And it was cinema downstairs and ballroom upstairs.
Oh, nice.
And that was a weird old gig because you had to go on the cinema stage at half time.
Yeah.
Lug all your gear on, no sound checks, just blast your way into a cinema, from a cold start.
Yeah.
And you did about 10 minutes and then you came off, hung about for an hour and a half, and before we went upstairs and did the proper gig. So it was, as I say, it's all character building, isn't it? So
I've only sung in Slough Shopping Centre.
Really?
Yeah, I've sung there a couple of times because I lived in Langley, so I used to go and do all their Christmases and their celebrations, and and actually it was right next to Primark, so I was quite lucky because people had bought a cheap T-shirt. They were in a good mood and they would stand outside and have a coffee and listen to me. So yeah, I sung in Slough Shopping Centre good few times actually. It was good fun. Good fun. That's amazing. Well, we could almost bloody nail. So I'm a Isleworth Hounslow boy. So with a bit of Chiswick roped into it because my mum's.
Yeah, let's say also. Well, I got married quite early for the first time and moved to Shepperton.
Okay, by the studios?
Yeah, not far from the studios. And the train line made places like Twickenham and Richmond very, very accessible. Yeah. Shepperton was the end of the line, but you could just jump on the train, be straight into that sort of, West London. Yeah. Richmond was a good scene in the 60s as well.
It was always a very beautiful place. It's always been a really nice place to hang. And
yeah. And there was some good sort of music places as well. Apart from the Crawdaddy Club, which was the Rolling Stones and then the Yardbirds sort of early gigs that they used to play there.
Mick Jagger and oh my God, is it Jerry Hall? Was still living in Richmond when I was last there.
There's quite
on the hill, and the guy from the Who, and I can't, not Roger Daltrey.
No, it's Pete Townsend lived there.
Yeah, because I knew him when I was younger because he was a friend of my manager's and came to ask if they put on Tommy the Musical, would I be the lead in Tommy? And I completely crapped myself and said no, I couldn't, and I didn't. But looking back now, I was like, you mug. But yeah, I used to know Pete, and I know Pete lived in Richmond as well. Yeah, so that was back in the day as well when I was young and pretty.
Yeah.
But that's was almost neighbours, mate.
Yeah, other than the fact, 40 years separation from us.
Absolutely, but
a time gap, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what an amazing bloody start to your musical career, and thank God, because of the great work that you had done with your diagnosis, you're still singing. What is going on for you at the moment? What's going on for Leroy Kong now, musically and creatively?
Still in a blues band, LK Mule. it's hard going getting blues gigs, to be honest, because a lot of pubs say, "Oh, I don't want blues," it's a bit miserable. And I'm in another band. We do covers, and that's called Said and Done.
Said and Done, yeah.
We cover everything from Foo Fighters, Kings of Leon,
Sweet.
Nirvana. I've got to admit, I do sometimes feel just a little bit embarrassed getting up and singing "My Sex Is on Fire" at 81. You think, is it convincing that my sex is on fire?
Of course, because it could be because of intense friction and
Yes, yes.
absolutely.
Do you know what? It's really weird though. You still get women coming on to you, and I'm thinking, well, these days it's women in their sort of late 50s, 60s that come on to you, but you think
Adoration is adoration, mate. It don't matter.
Well, I think what it is, and it's the few drinks and the old gin and tonic or wine goggles go on, and they think you're a big star for some
rock god.
reason.
Well, you are, mate.
Rock god.
And as long as they come back to your next show, perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
You should have Leroy Kong "Sex Is on Fire" t-shirts made. Get some merchandise.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Good idea.
So, and where do you play, and how can people find out where you're playing?
We have the old both bands have Lemon Rock pages, so that's probably the best thing to do is to look us up on Lemon Rock.
Okay, and that's Said and
Are
Done.
you familiar with
the band? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the covers band, Said and Done.
Wow.
And the blues band is LK Mule. But
yeah.
In addition, I do go to quite a few jam sessions and things. It's friends and keeping in touch. Every year we try and, well, I think we do every year go to Swanage Blues Festival. Okay. And it's a bit weird because you meet up with the same sort of people, and you do get occasionally outside of that opportunities to meet them at jams and other things that blues orientated people go to. So I was out last night and just having a little blast with some mates who in a pub.
I can't. I'm going to see if you're doing anything when I eventually get back to the UK. I want to come and check you and your band out. I'd be bloody one. I'll see if Mark's available. See if we can come and bug you. I'll bring some old knickers from Mexico.
We played probably about 3 years ago. We played at Bletchley Blues Club, which at the time Mark was living in Milton Keynes. Mark and Lawrence were there, and they, bless them, they came along to support us, and was like the front cheerleaders. Leroy!
Yes, and they do that well. Bless them.
Yeah,
they do that well.
Where are we going on holiday next week? In Cece. That's where we met Mark and Lawrence. Man. And which is another sort of small world thing. And we hang out quite a bit at an Irish bar over in Cece. Yeah. Peggy Gordon's Irish House, and they have karaoke and live as well. A couple of guitarists in there, so it's like a regular gig for me once a year over there to jam with the guitarist. I do the karaoke in there. So
that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, and that's I think that was when we first met Mark and Lawrence. Lawrence said he wanted to do the karaoke, but he didn't want to get up on his own. So I said, well, come on, we'll go up and we'll do it together then, shall we? So he said, oh, great.
Sweet. So he's duetted with Leroy Kong already. That's amazing, mate.
But as we were saying earlier, Mark is they both are such great guys. I mean, when I finished my chemo, they were running a little sort of Airbnb cabin at the bottom of their house. Yeah. And pretty early on, Mark said, as soon as you feel well enough, come and stay with us. Have a week's holiday to get better.
Nice, mate.
They are nice people.
Yeah, that sound absolutely sound.
Yeah.
So obviously you're going back on holiday in a couple of weeks, going to go and do your stint.
Well, actually, it's next week, really.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Bloody amazing. So, you're going to be going international again with your artistry. What does the future hold for you? What are your plans? What are you doing? What are you looking forward to? What would you hope to achieve in the next few years?
Well, I will have to call it a day at some time, I suppose. But I do have an album actually of LK Mule, but we might again at some time in the future record something else.
Yeah.
I'm good friends with a local band who did actually produce the album of LK Mule, and we have once or twice. Well, it was for my 80th birthday present. We were going to do some recordings with them.
Sweet.
We haven't got round to doing it yet, but yeah, so carry on gigging. Might make another recording of my voice, and just see what turns up. You never know, I might hit stardom finally.
100. You get overnight success. I'm still waiting after 34 years for my overnight success, quite frankly. So
I mean, back in the day with my sort of main young band, we auditioned for Apple, Parlophone, Decca, Pi, and EMI. In fact, we didn't apply to EMI; they contacted us.
nice.
They'd seen us play at a club up in Fulham called the Café des Artistes. And so, yeah, we didn't know who their A&R man was, and so up we traipsed to EMI Studios. Not Abbey Road, the other one. Is it Martin Square or something? But anyway, it was quite a nice sort of day out, because we met Cliff Bennett from Cliff Bennett and the Rebel Rousers, and Tony Hicks from the Hollies.
Wow.
And both of them said, while you're doing your audition, they said, just to let you know, it's like a stage, seating for about 40 people, and the recording bit at the bottom. They said, so we'll come in and get a few people down and give you a bit of support.
Nice.
And unfortunately, we went to our heads, and consequently, when the A&R man did turn up down in we didn't know who he was, and we were taking the piss out of his appearance. So he wasn't impressed with that.
So it didn't work in your favour?
No.
Okay.
No, we probably blew our big chance. Another chance I blew, actually, was when we were playing down this Café des Artistes. We used to get on quite well with the guy who was the manager of the club. And one evening he came over, he said, did you not see Keith Emerson earlier on? You know, that's the guy from Emerson, Lake and Palmer, the keyboardist. And I said, don't think so. He said, oh, he wanted to come up and sit in with the band. He said he was impressed with you, or he wanted to come up and play keys with you. I said, what does he look like? He said, well, tall, thin, long hair. So I said, oh yeah, I do remember now. He said, well, why didn't I said, well, we was really, steaming, the band was, and I told him to F off. So mind his own business. He wasn't sitting in with us. Yeah, we didn't
How to make friends and influence people, right?
Yeah, like another time we were queuing up to go over to France on the ferry queue, and these two guys pulled our sliding door back on our van and stuck their heads round and said, so where are you off to then, guys? Our bass player was sitting closest to the door, said, France, where do you think? And pushed the door shut and nearly decapitated them. And then as the ferry queue was moving, we saw this transit van go by with Status Quo on tour. And behind it was a brand spanking new with Francis Rossi and Rick Parfitt pressed up against the window, giving us V signs, going, so there you go, missed opportunities to do things.
You were too rock and roll, but less bluesy at the time, I think.
Yeah, we were just boozing too much, I think. Boozing too much. All too filled up their own self-importance. It's easily done, as you know.
Mate, and you wouldn't have been the first group that were, to be fair.
No, I think we're all guilty of that.
Right? It's all part of it.
Yeah.
Well, mate, I wish you super amounts of fun in your continuing journey with your music and your bands and your projects. Where can people find you if they want to find you? Because obviously now they're like, yeah, we've got to check this boy out. He's bad. So where can they find you?
Well, see, being an old geezer, I'm not that good at self-publicity on all these things. And I suppose the easiest place to find me is on my Facebook, Leroy Kong.
Okay. And possibly in the future on Insta.
Yeah, I'll start taking a bit more of an interest in
Yeah.
Insta. Yeah, now you've reminded me.
Well, I'm going to
Switch
share
me on to
it, so you know it might be.
Right, well, I'll start looking at it then,
Me
Jaden.
3 fans, me mum, me neighbour, and the neighbours whippet. They'll all be on adding you now. So.
Oh, great! That's what we need. That's what we need.
Leroy, thank you. First, it's a bloody pleasure to meet you. You're a superstar, and it's been really good. Hopefully, we'll stay in touch. I'm definitely going to try and get to London at some point this year if I can. So, if you're doing anything, I'll look you up and
Look us up. Yeah.
grab Mark and Lawrence and say, right, take me to see him. I've got to go and see this man do his thing. And but we're in touch. When you get your new album out, let's touch base again and let's chat about your new album.
Yeah, if we can get it together. On a personal note, Jaden, it's lovely speaking to you. Already it seems like you're an old friend.
Yeah, we're part of the same area genetics.
Yes.
That's what it is. But we're in touch, and I'll be following, the
yeah, mate. Keep in touch. Keep in touch.
Absolutely. Leroy Kong, thank you so much. People at home, you love him. Go and support this bloody amazing artist on the continuation of his journey in his rock and blues, and with his band Said and Done as well. I'll send you links. You'll see links running through this interview, and on the title page of this episode you'll also find the links of where you can find this gentleman. Leroy, we are in touch, and I'll catch up with you later. Thank you so much.
That's great. Looking forward to hearing from you again.
You take care, my friend. See you soon.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
What a bloody legend, and long may that young man reign. I can't wait to hear what he's doing next, and very much looking forward to his album. Please make sure you're following him on his Facebook and his Instagram. So he needs to get his Instagram sorted out, so make sure you're following there. Go and check out his band as well if you get an opportunity to go and see him play. I bet it's going to be bloody amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. Please don't forget to follow me on my Spanish Reddit Sociales on my social network, and don't forget to subscribe and share this show. I will see you next week on the Jaden Show with another incredible special guest. But before we go, I'm going to leave you with another video from Leroy. This is called Can't Judge a Book by Its Cover. I will see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Judge a book by looking at the cover. Come a little closer, baby. Hear what I gotta say. Your radio's turned down too low. Turn it up. Well, you can't judge sugar by looking at the cane. Can't judge a woman by looking at a man. Can't judge a sister by looking at a brother. Your book by looking at the cover. Can't you see? Yeah, misjudge me. I may look like a woman, but I'm a lover. Can't judge a book by looking at the cover. judge a book by looking